The triple constraint theory may sound a little bit complex, but I'm letting you know it really isn't. And in this video, I'm going to share with you all about project management triple constraint so that you can be awesome at your projects. And as a side note, I got some really good news for you. I have something for you at the end of this video. If you wait to the end, I'm going to give you a checklist, a way to get a checklist that has some amazing things that if you're here for triple constraint, you're definitely going to want this as well. Hi, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Adriana Girdler, and you have landed on the best project management channel out there. That is Practical Project Management. I'm telling you everything that you need to know. I would love if you consider subscribing, as it helps our community grow and tells YouTube we're doing a good job. Now, on that note, if you're interested about project management triple constraints, let's get to it. Understanding the triple constraint theory. This is also known as a project management triangle. So the constraint or the triangle is really based on three core elements: scope, time, and budget. And they're all dependent upon each other. You can't change one without having impact to the other one. So if you take a look at your time and it is the constraint and you want to make some shifts, then you're going to have to take a look at budget and scope in order to help ensure that your time stays at a constraint. So let's go into it a little bit deeper so we can understand each one. Scope. Scope is exactly what your project is going to be doing. It encompasses all the activity that you've agreed upon through a scope statement. That here's what our project is all about, and here are the things that are in scope, and here are the things that are out of scope, because it becomes very clear for you and your team and your stakeholders and your customers, people you're delivering to, that everyone is aligned on the same page. This becomes really important because it's so easy to have scope creep. And if you have scope creep, that means you're changing up scope, which is going to have impact on your triple constraints. So it's all tied in. So scope is really what your project is going to be doing, what's in and out, and that everyone is on the same page. Time. Well, this seems pretty straightforward. It's how long your project is going to take. It's the duration of your project for, by the way, all those scope items that we just said, that's in and out. How long is it going to take for you to complete your project from a timing perspective? So your duration, understanding dependencies, understanding how everything is working together from an overarching perspective, if you're going to be looking at it from high milestones, even to when the more detailed, maybe you have something that's going to be executed and you want to get into the weeds. Your time becomes very important because you have, with your scope, an expectation that you're going to be delivering at a certain time. So you know now when you start off your project exactly what it is that you have to deliver through scope and your time, how long you have to do it. So this becomes really important. Now these two are really becoming close together. So if your time is thrown off, then your scope may get thrown off, and vice versa. If your scope gets thrown off for whatever reason, added to, deleted, it does have impact on your time. All right, if you're liking the content so far and is resonating with you, please hit that like button, subscribe. It tells YouTube we're doing a good job. Budget. All right, this is now how much is it going to cost for you to execute on the scope of your project within the timeline that you have set aside for it. So budgets can be very simple, like direct cost, indirect costs. So some of those direct costs may be if you're installing a packaging line, let's say. The direct cost is going to be the cost of the equipment that you're purchasing. Some indirect costs may be you have a new place where you're installing the equipment and it's leased land. Those indirect costs is the lease that you're going to be renewing on a yearly basis. It's indirect. It's not something that the project has to do, but it's going to indirectly impact the cost of the project, and you have to consider those things. So budget now becomes important because if your scope changes or your time changes, then you may have to look to budget in order to help shift those priorities and ensure that you can deliver on what you're supposed to deliver depending on the constraint that you chose. How do you manage triple constraints? This becomes really important, and I can't stress enough that this is something you do at the beginning of your project because you want to lock this down and get a very clear understanding as to what those constraints are between time, scope, and budget. Now, one of the techniques or templates that you can use, something that I have in my Slay course, is a priority matrix. This is critical because a priority matrix basically says of your scope, time, and budget, which one is a constraint that is immovable, which one is it that you're going to optimize that ideally you don't want to move, but if you have to, you will. And the third and last is acceptance. If you have to move it to keep your constraint a constraint, then you're going to accept to use this particular scope, time, or budget, however you chose, to be that one that you're going to be able to work with. This becomes important, and you want approval at the beginning of your project, because as you move forward and things unfold and things happen and you're going to have risks that unfold, you do not want to be deciding at that point in time what your constraints are. Do it at the beginning, and it's going to guide you to make decisions and really help you with the ease of managing through difficult terrain when your project hits those bumpy places in the road. And if you're looking for more information on how exactly to create a priority matrix, well then tune in to next week's video, because I have a video just on that. Now that you know all about project management, triple constraints, you now need to know about this. 6 things to keep your project successful and make sure that they stays really aligned to everything that you put together. Guess what? Free for you. Get it? Link under this video. I'm telling you, it's a no-brainer. On that note, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.